What's going on, guys? It's Carroll here from Carroll's Corner MMA Podcast. Today I'm joined by Abby, who from Abby Eats and Sweets Instagram. She travels all over Long Island, New York City, checks out the restaurants, bars, all the eateries in the area, in the tri-state area. So, Abby, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's swell to have you. I'm pretty pumped to find out how you got into this and what made you start this.
It was on a boring summer weekend in 2017 in August. I was just bored and I had so many food pictures that I had and food that I ate and I enjoyed and I like to look at. So I did it for fun and it just like exploded into what it is now. And in general, I love food. So that helps.
Awesome. And you were telling me a little bit about like why you got into it and what you're doing, but tell us a little bit about how the Instagram account kind of came about. What inspired that? What made you really want to start taking photos and doing the social media aspect of it?
Well, I do have somewhat of a background in photography. So, the way the iPhones come out nowadays, like you could take really good pictures. It looks like it's with a professional camera. So I would just like do that a lot for myself just for fun. And I do social media for a living. So also I'm just like addicted to it. So it became like an avenue of some kind of therapy for me when I'm doing social media for everybody else. This is what I do just to like make me feel good and it was just always something for me.
Awesome. And what's your favorite type of food? Do you have a favorite kind? Is there something that you're always seeking out?
Okay, so I love Italian. I love all foods, but Italian food is but gnocchi is like my absolute like. Give me gnocchi and I will just like eat it for days. I love Italian food, but that's my favorite type of Italian food, and I can't say enough good things about gnocchi. So when I find some place that has good gnocchi, I'm just like obsessed and I'll rave about it.
Oh, for those who aren't familiar with it, explain exactly what that is.
It's a form of pasta, but it's made from potato.
Okay.
So they're like little, I don't even know how to call them. They're like little lumps
Like little
of like,
dumplings almost?
yes, they're like little dumplings, and you could season them with any kind of sauce. There's actually a gnocchi place that is on my to-do list in the city that all they do is gnocchi seasoned in every way possible. So that is, thinking about it now makes me salivate. I love gnocchis.
Well, I always remember watching like Man vs. Food, that show, and you'd see the guy, he would eat like crazy amounts of food, but then he like the health aspect of it as well. Do you visit like all kinds of places, or do you try to go healthy places, mix a little of everything in there? What's kind of the direction you're going with this?
The health part is a little hard because there's so much like good food out there, especially carb related
Mm-hmm.
foods. I don't discriminate. I go out to eat a lot. I work on the road. I work for myself. So when I have meetings, when I just for fun to meet up my friends, I go to restaurants and I eat meat, but I'll do vegan foods.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I'll eat it, I'll take if I love it, I'll like promote it, take pictures of it. Um, I'll do some healthy places, but I'll also just do everything. Like I love now that it's fall, I love pumpkin beer.
Okay.
So that's not the healthiest thing in the world, but I rave about it because I love it so much. So like anything I love, I'll talk about. It's not the healthiest thing in the world, but
Mm-hmm.
it works somehow.
Well, a pumpkin right now is a craze that's been going on for a
Ah,
handful of years. You got pumpkin pie, pumpkin beer,
oh,
pumpkin pancakes, pumpkin anything you can. I saw pumpkin M&Ms the other day. So anything you
I
think
haven't
of,
had
there's
that yet.
pumpkin in it. Do you
Right.
eat all of that, or do you kind of limit? Like me, I like pumpkin pie, but I don't like pumpkin beers, pumpkin coffee, or anything like that.
You know what? I haven't had the pumpkin M&Ms, but I do like everything else pumpkin that I've tried. I'm also a sweet tooth. If you give me a choice, a lot of my friends, they're salty tooth, if that makes sense. I'm a sweet tooth, so like all the pumpkin thing have a sweet element to it. So that's just like it hits the spot for me.
Now, are there any other trends going on right now? Is there any other like flavor or type of food that's kind of becoming the craze that everyone wants right now?
I think in the fall, it's anything earth related. So
Mm,
like a lot of restaurants do beet cocktails, pumpkin, anything related to the earth is a very big fall trend now. So granted, when Christmas comes around, it's going to be a little different, but now it's a lot of things related to like anything that comes from the earth and it's not tropical.
awesome. And holidays, I'm a big fan of the holidays because it's always about the food, getting around the table with the family and eating lots of food. Is there anything specific that like certain restaurants usually have more than normally around this time of year?
Well, a lot of restaurants nowadays have like the fall menus. Everybody changed over to the fall menus. There are some places that are doing Thanksgiving at their restaurants if people
Okay.
want to book there. But most of the restaurants I go to, I'm in Bayshore a lot, I'm in Patchogue a lot, and in Huntington a lot. A lot of places turned over their menu to the fall menu. So you will find the other day I was at Corks and Taps and I had pumpkin gnocchis. I almost died. Gnocchis, you see the
Yep. Yeah, you're combining all your favorites right into
Oh my
one.
God. So, a lot of places now it's just a trend because people love anything according to the season. So a lot of
Mm.
places now, at least locally in Huntington, Bayshore, and Patchogue, I've noticed they're just serving the season. And I love that because I'm all about getting into the spirit of the season.
Most definitely. Now, what are some of your goals for your Instagram account? Now, I notice you have a few other. You're Abby Eats and Sweets, but then there's
Yes.
other people with the same thing, Eats and Sweets. There's about 6 or 7 different accounts like that. What are the goals for Instagram and Eats and Sweets?
Well, like I said, I started it off as just for fun. And then some of my friends were like, oh my God, I love taking pictures of my food. So we just like got more into it. And I never really thought about it. For me, it was just like, I love eating and I love taking pictures of my food. Now I'm just like getting inquiries about places to eat and they just like send me vouchers. So I'm kind of like, I want to conquer Long Island. I want to
Mm.
like eat at every restaurant. And if I love it, I want to just promote it. I want to shout it out because who doesn't love food, really?
I agree 100%. If you
So
don't
if
love
you have
food, you're
like
a
good
terrorist.
pictures, food, good pictures, I want to make people salivate. I want to make people just be like, this is what I'm going to eat because this is what I saw on Eats and Sweets.
Oh, I think nowadays with social media, a lot of people they see something on Instagram that the photo like you're saying makes you salivate, and then you're like, you know what, I want to go there and try this restaurant.
And that's kind of, I think, my goal. And I got feet. I remember I walked into a restaurant last summer, and I was sitting down, and the waiter said to me, "Are you Abby's Eats and Sweets?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "I follow your blog." So it was just so exciting for me, and that just like put me on a different level where I realized I want to like just eat everywhere. I want to like introduce everybody to every single different type of food you could eat on Long Island. It's just like for me, like I said, it started out as like a little therapy
Hmm.
where I just take pictures of food and I promote it, and now it's like I make myself hungry just by looking at it. And I'm excited for the next place I go to.
That must definitely make you feel good inside knowing that your Instagram is gaining some popularity and it's growing. You
Yeah,
have about 7,000 followers right now and slowly rising. Uh, it's got to make you feel good about that. Owners of restaurants and stuff are coming up to you and recognizing your work.
I know it is a lot of. It makes me feel very fulfilled, especially because I'm in the social media business
Hmm.
for a living. So it makes me feel fulfilled because like my own personal Instagram is really blowing up locally. So that is such personal satisfaction, and it's a sense of like where I feel like I'm actually helping people gain weight all over Long Island. I mean,
Now, for those who are watching right now, some of you might recognize my podcast as an MMA podcast mixed martial arts. I do tons of interviews from My MMA News, UFC fighters, Bellator fighters, local, regional. But I'm trying to take the podcast and do more than just MMA, cover Long Island businesses and different trends going on. So today I asked Abby to join me, talk about eats and sweets. So I appreciate you coming on and hopping on and speaking.
Of course.
People, you can watch the YouTube interviews on Giblitz77. That's JIBLITZ77, and then on Twitter and Instagram at Carroll's Corner MMA. Abby, you talk about blogging? Do you do writing, like kind of critique? Almost, you see Barstool, they do the pizza, 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Do you do anything like that? Kind of rate the restaurants and food and stuff where you go visit?
It's something I might get into in the future, but here's the thing. If I go to a restaurant and I don't like it, I just won't post about it, as pretty as the picture is. So, and I worked with a few restaurants in my career, and I realized how much a bad review, how much damage it could cause.
Yeah.
So I have to go somewhere. If I have a bad experience, I have to go somewhere a few times to really rate it and say something bad. I say all the good things about it. I don't actually have a web page where I like rate everything and describe what I ate. I kind of keep it to Instagram because I'm very visual.
Okay.
So that to me works, because if I'm obsessed with what I ate, I could comment in the caption. If I just really like the food, but I'm more into the picture, I keep the caption minimum. But I'm careful with what I have to say, because I realize a lot of people are watching, and I don't want to ever give the wrong impression unless I'm 1,000,000% sure.
Most definitely. I totally understand that. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, I think it's on Vice, they had where they made a fake restaurant in the backyard and put it up on Yelp and then gave it ridiculous reviews, and it became where a point where people were calling, and it became, I think, the #1 rated restaurant on Yelp in England or something like that, and it was make believe. And then when people showed up, they blindfolded them and served them like microwavable food, and everyone was raving about it, like it was this amazing place. Do you think it's important that personalities like yourself have an impact on reviewing food instead of like just going on Yelp and seeing anonymous people go up there and review things?
Again, I think the visual aspect to Instagram is a huge thing, because even when I go to restaurants, I see the menu. I'm a visual person, so I wish they had pictures of everything. So I think having a blog where they could see it visually and then talking about how I felt about the food, I think that does have an impact, and that could be positive. And the truth is, it's all about the hype. If like, psychologically, if 1,000,000 people like a certain place, oh my God, I like it too, because everybody else likes it. So I think I even forgot how to answer the question, but I do think that it does have an influence on people, and especially if they see more that it's somewhat of a trend, like certain restaurants become somewhat trendy. Everybody wants to try those places out. So the more you talk about it, the more other people talk about it, the more people are just drawn to it, because it becomes like a thing to do.
Now, when you go to a restaurant or a bar, how much does like the atmosphere and like decor really play a factor in, or is it just about the food? You worry about the food, and who cares if the kitchen has 1,000,000 cockroaches?
Well, it's funny. I was just talking to my friend today as I was doing a foodie trip, and ambiance means a lot to me. Granted, it's not everything, but it's kind of like 40%.
Okay.
Because if I'm not feeling the ambiance, granted, the food could be great, and I probably will go there to eat for lunch if it's something quick. But I love when I go and sit down. I want to feel a certain way. So it's 60-40, really. Like, the food is important.
Okay.
No cockroaches, no, but the food is very important to me, obviously. But let's say if I'm not even like documenting, I'm just like going for fun, the ambiance, whether it's dark or it's light, or it depends on how I'm feeling that day, and that is so important to me. because it just like it kind of affects your mood. So, but the food is important too.
I agree 100%. I think the atmosphere is definitely a big role. I know when I go to a restaurant, I sit down. I usually have 2 to 3 drinks while I'm eating my meal, and if a waiter or waitress doesn't come back and ask or just refill my drink or ask if I want another one, I get a little upset. I want another
Yep.
beverage. I don't want to be parched while I'm eating my meal.
And there are certain places that I know are like that, but I love the ambiance that I will just
Hmm.
go there for the drinks, to have a beer or to have a cocktail or whatever, because sometimes some places are just better with their drinks.
Most
So, but I
definitely.
love the ambiance, so I kind of try to get the best of both worlds.
Totally understandable. Now, with the seasons coming, the it's fall right now. You have Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that coming, and New Year's Eve. A lot of people start getting into relationships around this time of year. It just seems that
Yeah.
way. But where's some good date spots that you would suggest for people to go in New York City and Long Island?
So, as far as it depends what kind of food you're looking to do. If you're looking for Mexican with a little twist of Italian, I love Refuge as far as date
Okay.
nights because it's dark, so it's not good for food pictures, but it's dark. It has like a certain like romantical aspect to it. If you're looking for something more seafood, I love Salt and Barrel. It's very like it reminds me of New York City, very high end. If you love oysters, it's great for that. Um, it depends on what kind of place you're going for. When it comes to date nights, I'm thinking more like dark, candlelit. I went to a date once at the wine cellar in Northport,
Okay.
uh, and it was nice. It was like revolving around wine, and I don't remember the food to be honest, but I remember the wine and the beers. I really loved that, and the ambiance was great. So the wine cellar in Northport, I would definitely recommend for something if you're very much into wine. Um,
Now, somewhere like music too. Is there food, music, drinks? Is any place specific in your mind that kind of jumps out?
Well, a lot of places now are doing live music, which is
Okay.
pretty nice. So I know, like I said, Salt and Barrel does live music, Coastal does live music, and Bayshore, Drift Inn and Patchogue does it. A lot of places are doing live music. So what I do if I ever want to go somewhere with live music, I follow all of them on Instagram. And I go when I know they're announcing something, but I know those places announce live music very often.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of listening to music and just seeing live music in general. And then while you're eating and having some drinks, it's always nice for a little live music.
Right.
Is there any other places where stand out in your mind? I think if you ever see Mad Men, if you watch that show, it's kind of like the classic places. You got to wear suit and tie, dress up to be in them. Miller Gin used to be one of
Right.
those. Now they don't so much require anything that stands out in your mind like that. That classier place, throw on a jacket in order to walk in.
Well, Prime, it's anything Russo brothers owned. Prime in Huntington is very much like that. You could also go there just wearing a polo and khakis or, casual jeans. Rear 650 in Syosset could be pretty dressy if
Okay.
but I love that these restaurants have the option that you don't have to dress up, but if you
Hmm.
want to dress up, it's appropriate in these places. Blackstone and Melville is definitely one is up there and one of my favorites. I love their dirty martinis. So, and a lot of people go to these places after work. So, if they're in corporate and they already have a suit and tie on, they just go there and it fits perfectly.
Awesome. And now, have you ever traveled outside the United States, visit any other cities within the United States? And obviously, you're eating when you're there. Any city that really has the best food, the freshest food? My brother's in the Navy. He's been to Greece. He says probably the freshest food he's ever had. Anything like that, or a city or anywhere, or specific type of food that really stands out?
Well, I can say in the US, I'm a huge traveler outside the US.
Okay.
And I go to France a handful of times. I went there, and I mean the French, the way they make their food is just you will gain 10 pounds if you're there for a week. So I'm going to Milan next month, so I will get back to you on like Milan Italian style food. But Paris in France, the south of France is the only thing that stands out for me as far as like good food where it just like it's like almost like comfort food where you just feel so good after.
Now, if someone's to say I'm traveling to France, I've never left the country, but say I'm going there, what is one type of food or something specific that you're like you must try when you're there? Like you have to have
Cheese,
it.
cheese,
Cheese?
cheese.
I love cheese. That's why I went to school in
I
Wisconsin.
love cheese. My best friend, she's half French, half Korean, so she's very and she's actually one of my eats and sweets. She's Laura's
Okay.
eats and sleeps, and she's the one like her French side comes out when it comes to food, and she got me into brie, cabernet, all these different cheeses, and I'm addicted. I'm absolutely addicted. Some of my eats and sweets, some of them are in the Caribbean. One is in Chicago. I have two local ones, but we feed off each other. We tell each other
Hmm.
different like food stuff and what we like and what we tried, and then like we post about it, and we run a lot of things by each other. So I love that I'm like surrounded by more cultures, more
Hmm.
demographics.
I love cheese. I went to school. It's one of the people in Wisconsin always. Why'd you come here? I love cheese. So I'm a big fan. The cheese curds are always the best whenever you go there. Bite them, they squeak.
I was just at Brew Cheese today. My foodie day today was in Northport. Brew Cheese at Northport. They have every cheese. They scraped the
Mm.
cheese in front of me on my sandwich. I was
Oh,
have oh my
nice.
god, I've not come here sooner. They have every cheese. You could like get cheese to go, you could get cheese to eat on the spot, and they have like all I'm all about local. Even though I
Okay.
love traveling, I'm all about local Long Island. So they have like all the local beers from Greenport to Sand City, which is right next to them. They have everything. So I found a new gem today, which I knew about. I just never went there.
That's awesome. And speaking of local Long Island, trying the different breweries on Long Island, is there any one that really pops out? I know you got the Blue Point Brewery, you got the Montauk Brewery. There's a lot of them popping up. It's become very popular all across the country in recent years. But they're actually like I remember going to the bar and you're seeing just all big corporate type like Bud
I
Light,
know.
Coors Light, and Miller Light just on tap. Now I think there's one of each of those. There's three, and then the rest is all microbreweries.
I think it just even with wine, it just becomes such a thing where everybody has their own style, their own brand, their
Hmm.
own wine, their own beer. I kind of like that just because I like local and
Hmm.
I'm not huge into like the corporate, let's just drink Bud Light or Budweiser, or I'm not a huge beer drinker, but whatever else is out there.
Yeah.
Uh, I kind of like it. I kind of like that there's a lot of local breweries. Greenport Brewery is great out east. Sand City in Northport is great. I might think my favorite is Montauk beer. Their pumpkin
Okay.
is to die for. Like I could just drink that all fall and gain more weight than I have since the summer. um, and if you actually the beauty of it is that if you live here and you go to their brewery, like they show you how they make everything, and for me that's so important. And I just like I could do that all day and I could spend money on that versus like something that's corporate and I see on a Super Bowl commercial or
Hmm.
in a commercial in general, you know?
Most definitely. Speaking of alcohol, where's the best place, top bars in the Long Island to really get just grab a couple drinks, whether it's martinis or beers, anything really pop out and kind of attract more people than normal?
Well, I love my alcohol. I could go from beer to wine to martinis. Um, it depends. I love my dirty martinis. I was at Kashi. It's a sushi place in Huntington this past week. They made me a dirty martini. I love it. The ambiance was great. It looked
Hmm.
very loungy, New York City-ish on a freaking Wednesday night. It was great. Um, Monsoon in Babylon.
Okay.
The ambiance again is great. It's dark. It looks very like urban. Their drinks are great, and I think they have something on Monday nights where everybody else is not paying
Okay.
attention to going out. So I love going there and just like feeling important, like I'm having a cool like dirty martini, you know. Coastal in Bayshore, their drinks, they're more on the tropical side, but they also have like seasonal drinks for this time of year. Huh, Their drinks are amazing. I'm actually like at Coastal a lot where people think I work with them. I don't. I'm just like there all the time because I love the staff. I love the drinks. I drink everything that's there.
And
But
Coastal, is that new? I don't know if I live in Islip. I don't think I really recall that bar.
yeah, it opened up a year and a half ago. It's by the same owners that run Verde or own
Oh,
Verde
okay.
in Bayshore. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
So
that place.
and it's beautiful because there I love going also during the daytime, especially because it's so open, it's so lit.
Hmm.
So food pictures come out great, but it just like it feels good when you go there. You almost feel like you're going to a tropical island, and they're known like their drinks are their thing. So Anthony, the
Awesome.
owner, he's great with like making drinks and coming up with different concepts. He goes to the Caribbean to like get new recipes for all these drinks, and I admire that because it's not something you would find everywhere.
Most definitely. And I know Verde, like I haven't been to Coastal, but Verde, they have all the tequilas you can think of. And I think that's awesome. When you eat Mexican food, drinking tequila is nothing better.
I know they had a tequila tasting, I think last week. I missed it, but I need to go next year.
Always a good time. Now, also saw, actually, I think it was on your Instagram, the Budweiser Clydesdale horses are delivering beer. Tell us a little bit about that. I believe you're at the one in Bayshore. They did in Bayshore and Patchogue, right?
They did. First of all, I adore all fur babies, especially horses. They're such so they're just awesome. So I knew they were in Patchogue and Bayshore. I could make it to the Bayshore one, so it was great. I got some shots of the horses. It was the town was packed just with people at restaurants, people in the streets, people just drinking and enjoying it. It was such a nice experience. It really felt like a community that day.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seemed like a good amount of people showed up too.
Yeah, and I know like they're I can't pronounce them properly. Clydesdale.
Clydesdales? I think
I
that's
would
how.
like
I
write
could be
them.
wrong. Who knows?
I don't like actually pronounce it. They're in Super Bowl commercials. The
Hmm.
Budweiser Clydesdale. They're like everywhere. So it was like so nice to see them come locally. And
Yeah.
I got some really good shots because for some reason, when I was in a certain spot and they stopped because the police car in front of us stopped for whatever reason, and the horses were just like looking at me. It's like they knew, So I got some amazing shots of them, and they're like one is actually smiling at me. So I'm just like, I love you. Like I'll just drink Budweiser because you smiled at me, and I don't like Budweiser.
And they're massive horses, aren't they?
Yes, but they're beautiful. They're such gentle giants. Horses are just to understand the soul of a horse is just I can't even. You have to be something special.
Most definitely. They are definitely beautiful creatures. Now, but we're talking about all this food that everyone else is making. Can you cook? And if so, what's your favorite dish to cook?
I can cook. I now live by myself, so I don't cook.
Okay,
But
understandable.
I lived with somebody for a couple of years, and I cooked up. I was always like into recipes, into cooking different stuff, a lot of gnocchi related foods.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I got very creative with cooking, so I could if I really want to. I just right now I don't, but I will probably get back on that at some point in my life. Now I'm just like so focused on my work and eating out. So
Totally understandable. But if you had one favorite dish to cook, what is it?
other than gnocchis,
Yes, other than gnocchis.
um, I used to make squash
Okay,
where you don't mash it, you just like cut it in slices, and there was a certain way of seasoning it, and it was just like I felt like I was at an upscale restaurant after I would make
awesome.
it. It was my ex's mother's recipe, and it's so simple, but
Did you throw that recipe out now?
I could probably like find it somewhere. One thing that people loved about what I made was my lasagna. My
Okay.
lasagna was like I remember I was in college and my friend was like, "Can you just like every Tuesday, can you just bring in your lasagna because it's so good?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, really?"
Well, speaking of that, like one of my friends' mother she was Cuban, and she made Mexican lasagna, and it was something different I never had. And it just speaking about trying different cultures' food and all. like for going from New York to living in Wisconsin for 7 years, you really definitely try and see different food. A lot of German food up there as well. So it's pretty cool to see how different people make food and whatnot. And I'm Irish and German, so I don't always get the Italian type food unless
Right.
I go out to eat it. Um, but I think that's awesome when you could see the way different types of food are cooked around holidays, especially.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated by that. My background is Romanian, so even though I was
Okay.
born here, I grew up eating Romanian food, and I was talking with my friend earlier today. It's very carb based. That's why I love my
Hmm.
carbs because I grew up on them. Um, but it's interesting because over the course of my adulthood, I've been friends with so many different nationalities,
Hmm.
from Spanish to German to Irish, and I just love it all because every culture has something to add,
Hmm.
and I like it as like cultural as possible. Like don't change it. Just like however you made it in your country, that's what I want to try.
Most definitely. And I feel there's a place in Islip, I haven't tried it yet, but I believe it's like Japanese food and American food infused. I feel like that's becoming a big thing too, where they're infusing like the
Mm.
different types of food and making almost like Japanese food or American food into. It's hard to explain, but I don't know if you've ever tried anything like that, but
Um,
or seen anything like that recently.
Usually the places I go to, they have like it's like American food where they have a bunch of different, like a little bit Italian, a little
Okay.
bit of Spanish food. I am curious to find out what that restaurant is in Islip because I'm always around there.
Yeah, it's right. It's a newer place, probably a year or so old, and I haven't been in there. I've been meaning to get to try it, but um, from what I understand, what I was told about it, it's like they make Japanese recipes, kind of like American style or American style food into Japanese like style. Yeah, it's different, hard to explain, but something
Interesting.
I know it sounds interesting.
Interesting. No, I'm all about that because while I feel like it might take something away from the cultural aspect,
Hmm.
it's a new thing that could be a cultural
Hmm.
thing in in the next generation. So I'm very open to trying that kind of stuff, especially if it involves cultures I like the
Hmm.
food of the cultures I like. I love that.
Awesome. And um, anything else you want to add? Any other places that people have to try, check out, or any other kind of food? Ever tried Brazilian food or yeah, Brazilian food, Portuguese food?
I did. One of my best friends is Brazilian, but I haven't found those places here on Long Island. Those are mostly in the city and Queens, and it was like a lifetime ago. I know there's Argentinian food. Um, there's like a really good Argentinian restaurant in Brentwood. There's one in Smithtown too.
Okay.
It's across the street. It's close by to Cafe Havana. I haven't been there in probably 10 years, but one thing I remember, and my friend recently went there. I think she went there 2 weekends ago. They're huge on their sangria. Their sangria is just like you could easily get drunk off it, and they only sell it by pitchers.
Oh, jeez.
So you get a pitcher, and they're not selfish with their meat. They'll give you like
Hmm.
you'll order a steak thing. It has to be for at least 4 people.
Okay.
Um, I really want to go back there. It's been a while since I went there. But it's in the Smithtown area next to Cafe Havana, and Cafe Havana is actually also really great. It's a Latin style restaurant,
Okay.
and I think on some nights they have Latin night. Another great Latin place I love in Nassau County is Capacho.
Hmm.
Z100 is actually going to be there for a Halloween fest
All right.
uh, costume thing, and their food is amazing. Their drinks are amazing. Happy hour comes, the bartender starts pouring liquor into your mouth. The siren from the show The Purge.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
siren comes on, and you know it's 5 o'clock, and they just like pour it into your mouth. I love it.
That's awesome. That sounds like a good time.
Um,
Uh,
that's the thing I love. On top of the food, if the like, I love the ambiance. So if the ambiance is fun, the people that work there and like that makes like a lot of the experience.
I agree 100%. Is the so I'm gonna give you as for your top place, that your top go-to place for brunch, lunch, dinner, and then just drinks.
Okay. Woo! So many. So brunch, Maureen's Kitchen in Smithtown.
Okay.
Pancakes melt in your mouth. The oatmeal is like something special. It's not even regular oatmeal. You can't get the recipe out of them. It's just, I always get that. Like I will pick out when I go there. My top, what was the other one?
Lunch, dinner, and just drinks.
Lunch, I love going to Coastal for lunch. I love going to different bars for lunch. Like in
Okay.
Bayshore, I love Coastal. I love Rum in Patchogue. It's like one of the
Oh yeah.
one rooftop bars on Long Island, which is the rooftop area. I think is closed in the winter. Drinks, I love the craft cocktails I saw in Barrel. Very special. Feel like I'm in the city. Um, what other? I have locally. I live in Greenlawn and
Okay.
Oldfields up the street. They have like some really good different drinks, and especially when it's cold out, they have a fireplace and they give you like whiskey drink or wine drink. I love. And what was the other question?
Dinner.
What?
Dinner.
See, dinner, I am all about like the dim lighting. So I would have to go with Oldfields up the block for me for dinner.
Okay.
Um, Nissan Sushi and Comac. I love sushi on top of my
Mhm.
gnocchis. And Nissan Sushi has a very, very loungy type of atmosphere, and their sushi is so fresh and so good. And they have like they bring on music late at night, so it feels like I'm somewhere outside of Long Island. So that probably would be one of my favorite dinner spots.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. I know one of my favorite brunches that's gone. Got hit by the hurricane. They rebuilt it and then closed. Was Molly Malone's. They used to have a phenomenal brunch there,
Oh,
out in
oh, they
Bayshore.
close.
But
Mm.
yeah, I'm always looking for new spots. Sometimes I feel like I live in Islip, so I've gone to Bubba's Burritos a gazillion times and places in this general area. But then I feel like I start to I don't know enough places. I feel like, and
Oh,
some
follow my blog. I will. I had people tell me like they'll write me, they'll DM me, and they're like, I don't have to Google anymore about places to like eat, drink, dinner,
mm,
brunch, breakfast, whatever on Long
well,
Island.
good
I
to
just
know.
follow
Good
your
to
blog.
know.
So I'm like, okay, please do. So I like try to always keep them like updated, but try Marine's Kitchen in Smithtown.
All right.
Sometimes if you go on the weekend, there is a line. Sometimes there's a 40-minute wait. And if there's a wait, it's good.
Well, most definitely. And all this talk of food is just making me hungry. Now, do
This
you
is why
try?
this time of year I like put on a couple of pounds because it's impossible.
Most definitely. And do you try like a new place every day, every week? How often do you try to do new restaurants and different areas for food and drinks?
I don't have a specific like time frame. My job always makes me go all over the island.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm in Nassau. I wish I was in the city a little more lately because they have everything there. Um, but if I'm driving to a new appointment to a potential new client or something, and I see something interesting, something that looks cool, I check it out. Sometimes I don't go to a new place in like a week. Sometimes I go to 5 new places in a week. So
Hmm.
as long as there's no consistency to my game. So as long as I keep going, if there's a slow week for me, like today, this past week was a slow food week for me. I checked out a new place by my house with my friend that I've been wanting, that's been on my bucket list. And so I try like a couple of new restaurants a month at least.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool that you get out there and you're trying all these different places and informing everyone what's the best places for food, drinks, and just hanging out and being social with everyone. That's awesome. Uh,
And I meet so many people doing it. I make good friends with the bartenders, the waiters. It's so nice because you meet people from all walks of life and you realize how small this world is.
I
Well,
agree.
Island at least.
Yeah, Long Island, a place of 8 million people, yet feels like it's so small. It's pretty incredible that way. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you're definitely making me hungry. I'm excited to get on that
Good.
your blog and check out what's delicious in the neighborhood. Because
Good.
Salt and Barrel
That's
is a
my
place that's been
goal.
on my bucket list. I haven't gotten there
Yeah.
yet, but I've been meaning to.
Definitely, you will love the vibe. They have live music 3 times a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, live
Oh,
music.
awesome.
Their oysters, local oysters, are so good. I love that place. I love that place. I love the owners. It's good. I definitely recommend that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped to go check it out. Might have to do it this week sometime. uh,
Yes.
um, any other holiday beers or anything that are coming out that anyone should know about that maybe don't know as much about?
It's you know what? Every place makes their own holiday drinks.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that is consistent that a lot of places do the same are their beers, their ales, their tap, all that. Um, I am, like I said, I'm not a huge fan. I just started getting into beer like 2 years ago because it's cheaper, first of all, and I kind of just like want to see what all the hype is about with beer. And one thing I love around the holidays is that there's a lot of winter ales, and a lot of the winter ales are pale ales, and
Okay.
I love that. I don't like dark ales or dark brews. So a lot of different places I think you should try what they have on top the winter ales because there's so many breweries now in New York.
Mm-hmm.
There's Six Point Brewery, like you said, Blue Point Brewery, Greenport Brewery, where they come out with their own winter version of beer. And I always like experimenting with that, especially coming off all the pumpkin beer. This is it sometimes it's a little lighter, sometimes it's beer that has more body to it. I think it's a nice refreshing change after all the fall stuff.
Awesome. And we spoke a lot about food, or the eats. How about the sweets part? I know there's a handful of candy stores all across Long Island. There's one in Islip. Um, is that somewhere you hit up as well?
Well, the funny thing is, I'm a sweet tooth. um, ooh, with sweets, sometimes I just let my cocktails be my dessert, but
Okay.
I love, I really just love my sweets. Places that I've had, it's so funny because I'm a sweet tooth and I can't really think of dessert places right now, but Copenhagen Bakery in Northport, which is
Okay.
one of the places I went to today. any any bakery where you could get like a slice of this time of year pumpkin pie, pecan pie, bayshore bean, I think it's patchogue bean, Babylon bean. They have just like the best pies, or you
Okay.
really feel like you're into the season. I love those. I love anything seasonal, and a lot of places. Going back to Salt and Barrel, they have their fall menu out, and they have like new dessert stuff that are just like fall orientated.
Hmm.
Oh, I could just like eat that all day. I'm
Awesome.
getting hungry.
I know, right? All this food talk is making me just want to just go dig in and just eat everything.
I know, like what we'll start our diet tomorrow. What could you say?
Just keep pushing it back. Just keep pushing it back. Awesome. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up? I've taken almost 45 minutes of your time, but anything else
Really?
you want to throw in there? I've been enjoying talking to you about all the different areas
Yeah,
on Long Island.
me too. I love talking about food. It's my passion. What else could I throw in? I'm trying to think now outside my Long Island, Suffolk County box. Out
Anything in like
east, I don't.
Connecticut or New York City or like Westchester or upstate area or Jersey
I,
even that really pops out.
I actually don't like to go to Jersey.
I don't think anyone does that's from Long Island or New York.
Um, but I could rave about out east here on Long Island. A
Okay.
lot of people think that they should go out east in the summer because it's warmer. But I love actually going to wineries when it gets colder because it's
Hmm.
emptier and you get last year, me and my best friend, we went to Raphael's Vineyards, and we went middle of December. So the Christmas music was on, nobody else was there. They have a fireplace. The bartender waitress, she's like, "Do you guys want to sit by the fireplace? We'll start it up for you guys." So we had baked brie by the fireplace, drinking like 2 bottles of wine. It was great. So out east, I feel like a lot of people don't utilize it that much
Hmm.
after pumpkin season is over because they think it's too cold. But it's nice because it's so much more quaint. It's so much more intimate. And I think it's a great place to go either with a friend or a date, or if you live locally, just go by yourself if you want. Because I'm starting to go to places by myself. I couldn't do that before.
uh,
But I'm starting to make friends with bartenders, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna talk to the bartender.
well, it's good to know because, to be honest, I thought they closed at like around this
Nope,
time. I thought they shut down and closed the doors for the winter.
nope. The wineries are open year round. They have different hours. I think it's some of them are just like 12 to 4, 12 to 5. But I granted I don't go in January and February when there are those big storms. But around
Hmm.
Christmas, they decorate everything. It feels so good going there. You really you get happy once you leave there. You leave with a good mood and a good spirit.
Now, I think one of the I remember up when I lived in Wisconsin. I forget the name of the place, but it's just small. It was like literally the size of a house. The restaurant. It was like a steak place, and I went in the middle of like a blizzard with someone, and we had steak. A little same thing. Fireplace is going. Place is empty, so the waiter's at our disposal. But anywhere like had also has those vibes with the fireplace going. Just kind of just I know I love first snowfall. I always love just to go get a beer. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Just hang out, drink a beer, first snowfall.
There's a place out east I went to, La Plage, I believe it's called. It's out east. I would say maybe close to Greenport,
Okay.
and we went in the winter. So a couple of friends of and I got an Airbnb just because it's cheaper around that time of year.
Hmm.
And we went to La Plage. It's by the water, so it was freezing because we're talking January. It was freezing, but when you went inside, it was so quaint. I'm pretty sure they had a fireplace. It's a very French vibe, French cuisine vibe to it. I really loved it. I really loved it.
That's awesome. And then like we mentioned earlier, you have several people with the Eats and Sweets tag on Instagram. How did you come about, like I guess, recruiting all these individuals? You said they're in Chicago, the Caribbean, they're all over. How did you kind of rope them into joining up on the cause?
Well, some of them are my friends because I have friends all over the world. So some of them are my friends. And then it just branched out to like friends of friends, so seeing that and wanting to get into them or into it. And then I follow their personal page and I'm like, and they post a lot of pictures of food. So I
Hmm.
see they like food. So I'm like, you should do an Eats and Sweets. And they just get really excited because it's a group, and we support each other. We shout each other out. We hopefully soon are gonna do like a group thing where it's like foodies eats and sweets unite. It's just like anything that feels very community orientated and group orientated. People love that, and I support all my eats and sweets. Some people they have, granted, I do social media for a living, but some people have actual like office jobs and stuff. So
Yeah.
like I'm there to like support them, to like rev them on, and it becomes addicting after a while, especially when you get good at taking food photos and
Hmm.
you love to eat. It becomes really addicting, and I love it because they get their own following, they get their own support, in their in wherever they live. So it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I started something.
Now, what kind of equipment do you use? You just use your phone to take
I
photos, or are
use
you
my
taking?
iPhone. Yep, I have
Okay.
a camera. I have a Nikon camera, but I use my iPhone because now the iPhone is just the camera. Everything
It's
is
insane.
right. So instead of like figuring out like how to take good pictures with the camera, it's just like the iPhone.
Snap.
Yeah, and yeah, there is a technique to taking pictures to food, but I have that down.
Okay.
So as long as it's a good high quality camera on my iPhone, I'm good. And then there's like I have like a foodie app that helps enhance certain colors of foods specifically. So that helps because sometimes if the lighting isn't perfect, you're missing what your eye sees, the camera doesn't see. So it's nice to
Okay.
have little filters that enhance that.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. It's interesting. I know anyone who's friends with me on Facebook will see I post constantly food being cooked, usually steaks or barbecue or anything that looks delicious. I'm just reposting it and sharing it. So anyone who knows me, is friends with me on Facebook, they see I just love seeing food cooked and eaten. It's the only way to go.
Yeah, I like to do videos sometimes too, and I like to add soul to my blog because I don't want to make it look like a magazine. Like I want people to see my
Hmm.
face sometimes. So I keep a nice balance of it. I do some videos, but yeah, there's a certain way to take pictures and videos, and then you could like filter them through a couple of apps where, like I said, sometimes with the ICs, the camera doesn't, depending on the quality of the camera. So it's nice to enhance those highlights of photos.
Awesome. And then I guess last question really before we wrap it up. I'm a huge sports fan. I don't know if you're a big sports fan, but have you ever gone to the ballparks or arenas and stadiums and tried the food there? And if so, which one has the best food?
I have not. I love going to baseball games, not because I
Okay.
love baseball, but I love the tailgating. But yeah, I always go to. I mean, I used to always go to like either Yankees or Mets games. I haven't been to a football game yet, but I love their hot dogs. It's just like so all American.
Yeah, traditional, the pastime, right?
And now I know they have like more sophisticated stuff where they put different things on hot dogs. They have nachos, they have all this stuff, and I see a lot of cool pictures with the field in the background. That's on my to-do list. I just like
Awesome.
I usually like will go to these games when I have free tickets, and I haven't had those opportunities recently, so I just stick to my
Cool.
restaurant.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to really dive into your Instagram and check out all these different restaurants. I'm gonna have to start popping around, seeing if I could hit a few of these and check it
Good.
out. Should be
And let
pretty
me know
cool.
what you think.
Oh, definitely, I will do. I'll comment and let you know what I'm thinking of these, or I'll post a photo of my own food up. Um,
You should do
Abby's
an
Eats
eats
and
and
Sweets.
sweets.
What's that?
You should do an eats and sweets.
Yeah, right.
Something you think about it. Think about it.
um, Anything else? I know you really Instagram's your big one. How can people follow you, find you, kind of get to know your blog and everything?
Mostly Instagram. I have a business card for my own business, and
Okay.
because it's revolving around social media, I do have my food blog on there too. When I go to restaurants, Shed Restaurant, by the way, the Shed in Huntington is also a great brunch spot. That just came to mind. Amazing brunch spot, and I go there sometimes with a group of foodies, and it's just like a table full of food, and we're all taking pictures. And I kind of want to justify my actions to like the people next to us because I don't want to appear like that crazy Instagram
That's probably why I never take
millennial.
photos of food.
Yeah, I just like because I'm sure that's annoying. They see it everywhere, so I always justify it. I'm like, we have a blog because sometimes it's like the Eats and Sweets clan. I'm like, we have a blog. We're not just crazy Instagram people. They're like, oh, okay. So then we get into conversations. Um, I'm just like, and in my field, I just meet so many different people, and I just like to mention it because it's a big part of my
Hmm.
life, and that's when they get interested and they follow, especially because it's more Long Island based.
Maybe you should put one of those like tripod things. Almost it looks like a menu, but put it on the table with you and says Abby's Eats and Sweets Instagram, and so people know exactly what you're doing and why you're taking those photos. And if they don't want to ask, they can just see it and go on and look.
That's not a bad idea. I actually might do that. I didn't think of that. Good idea.
But I'm gonna let you go because I've taken up almost an hour now of your time. Although I've
I'm
been
supposed to be
thoroughly
watching The Walking Dead. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't to be honest. I didn't even know The Walking Dead's still going. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Oh, they're killing off my favorite character. I might stop after the season.
Oh no, yeah, I think should have ended maybe a couple seasons ago.
Stop.
Um,
Stop it. It's my favorite show in the world. So stop it.
actually, best place to get duck. I love duck. Real quick, know of any
It's
place to get
funny. That's one thing I don't eat because I love ducks.
blasphemy? Blasphemy.
I know. I love ducks. They're so cute.
Well, Donald's
So
gonna get it once in a while.
I can't. I don't eat ducks and I don't eat lamb.
Two of my favorite things.
Lamb, first of all, is one of the most fattening meats you could eat, first of all. Second of all, they're so cute.
Well, it's a good thing I'm not petting them before eating them.
You know what? I have a hard time because I'm such a big animal lover. And I think chickens are cute too, but I eat that because if I didn't eat some meat, I would only eat carbs and I would be 300 pounds. So, but yeah, I don't eat duck. I know my friend, I was with her and she had duck at Coastal and she really liked it in Beachshore.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't. I just love them too much. I'm sorry.
That's too funny. Awesome. Well,
But I love steak.
steak, yeah, oh, definitely. No one cares about the cows.
I know, but they're so cute too. Okay,
Eat
that's
more
a completely
chicken.
different topic.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, Abby. Definitely
Same.
making me want to go check out food from all over Long Island and kind of
Good.
get involved. I feel like when you do that, you get more involved with the community and everything going on. So it's pretty cool.
I love that aspect to it. Yeah.
Definitely. It was Abby's Eats and Sweets. Now there's a period between each word.
Yeah.
For
So
those
it's
who
Abby's period eats period.
and it's gonna be posted
Sweets.
down in the corner right below your face so people could see. Hey, pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to
So
chatting
good
with you in the
talking to you.
future again and kind of seeing the new places you've gone to and visited.
I will take you on my journey. I'm going to Milan soon, so there'll be a lot of like Milan food pictures. I'm going to Switzerland, so you'll see some of that, but mostly Long Island stuff.
That's all. That's pretty cool though. You know, people get to see some of the I guess crazy foods that they make in foreign countries and stuff that
It's
might seem
nice to
crazy
just
to
like see
us.
what else is going on, you know?
Yep. Most definitely. Well, Abby, thanks for joining me on the Carroll's Corner MMA podcast. I
Thanks for
appreciate it. It's
having me.
definitely a special edition. Talk about food. Pleasure. Definitely the pleasure was all mine.
Pleasure was mine as well, not all yours. So thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
Thank you and have a good night.
You too. Good night.